I'm Tom Graham. The defense has rested in Lindsay Clancy's Massachusetts murder trial. She's accused of killing her 3 children, but was also experiencing postpartum psychosis.
The defense rested with psychiatrist Dr. Philip Resnick. He is the leading expert on what's called filicide cases, or cases where parents kill their children. Resnick testified that Lindsay heard a male voice that commanded her to kill her 3 children and herself.
Fox's Brian Yennis in Plymouth. Vice President J.D. Vance delivering remarks in his hometown of Middletown, Ohio today, speaking in support of the Trump administration's America First economic agenda.
Just 18 months, we have seen an explosion of rebuilding in the American heartland.
And Democrats have been critical of the Trump administration over inflation, claiming they would bring prices down. America's listening to Fox News.
Marijuana, pot, weed, and Mary Jane. Don't trade your time for fun, because it may injure your brain. Be smart, don't start. Waste your potential. Stay in the race, keep out of the haze. Stay THC smart.
Stay THC smart and don't start. Brought to you by Gandhi'sAmbassadors.org.
Your pet is missing. That sudden panic, the racing questions, the worry of what could happen. It's overwhelming. Petco Love Lost is here to help. This free, nonprofit-powered service uses photo matching technology to search the largest national lost and found pet database, including pets from shelters, neighbors, and social media, helping bring pets back to the people who love them. And it works. Every day, Petco Love Lost reunites pets with their families. A reunion happens every 4 minutes. Simply upload a photo of your lost pet or one you found, and Petco Love Lost's photo matching technology goes to work instantly. You can even register your pet in advance, so if the unthinkable happens, reporting them lost and helping bring them home is as easy as the click of a button. Every pet deserves a way home. Visit PetcoLoveLost.org to register your pet or upload a photo and search for a lost or found pet today.
The number 3, one of the most important and powerful numbers on so many levels. And for your wallet, it's powerful at InstantRadioDeals.com. Enter the promo code FIRE at checkout for 33.3% off the list price of select items. Liberty Flames individual game tickets, Liberty Flames season tickets for the upcoming football season, and Hill City Howlers skyboxes and general admission with a $10 food voucher. All through the end of August. 33.3% off the list price of those items when you enter the promo code FIRE at checkout.
You're stepping into the fast lane on the VTRN Sports app, 93.3 FM and 1320 AM Lynchburg, and asking your smart speaker, open VTRN Sports Lynchburg. Now, take the fast lane through the topics that matter across the Commonwealth. This is the Fast Lane with Ed Lane and JJ Hendrickson.
So one of my general theories in life, not always, but there's a lot of truth to this. If enough people say the same thing, and you respect those people, and maybe add in the fact that maybe they have competing agendas, there's probably some truth to what they're saying. I get it. You may disagree, particularly if you listen to any political commentary that's out there, but we're going to put that stuff to the side. My wife is an example of this, actually. I said my life, not my wife, but she actually is an example of this too. My wife, my mom, my brother, plenty of other people say that I have a tendency to talk rather loud, volume-wise. I know that's a shock to you, JJ. I saw your lip parse like you were trying to withhold some laughter, and it's okay. You can let it out. I fully will get my usher on here to start the fast lane and confess and admit that that is absolutely true. So you don't have to hold the laughter in.
No laughter here. I'm just thinking about, I'm the one who controls all the sound levels. So I am very aware of the volume level of your voice, Ed.
Well, you are, but just in general conversation, not in audio form, 93.3 FM and the VTRN Sports app to listen live, or Fastlane, Ed Lane, or VTRN Sports, Facebook Live and YouTube, or Fastlane, Ed Lane if you're listening to podcasts. If you're just conversing with me in normal conversation, there is a lot of truth to that fact. And it may pain my ego, but again, I got to be true to my word on that one. If enough people that I respect, my wife, my mom, my older brother, all say the same thing, even my dad at times, and I love them all and I respect them all, there's probably some truth to it. Like, you got to admit where it is. And I've had people that are stubborn. Like, I had a guy, quick detour, by the way, in the fast lane.
Time to take a detour in the fast lane.
I had a guy that I used to work with a while ago. And it did not matter that I did a poll of 19 coaches. 19. As LeBron would remind us.
Not one, not two, not three, not four, not five, not six, not seven.
But 19 coaches at the high school and collegiate level. Some of them higher up the food chain. And even a couple of folks that are in charge in the NFL. And I ask this question. Is it more important to be respected or to be liked in your job? And 19 out of 19, with all different degrees of credibility, said, being liked is awesome. You certainly want that. But respect is absolutely more important or you lose command of the operation. It didn't matter. This person would not back off their opinion. It is classic, egotistical, stubborn, old school, dig my heels in no matter what media. Or you can just evolve and think outside the box and understand that there may be some truth to that and deal in nuance. And back in the day when there were like 2 sports talk radio shows and not a lot of options out there, shouts to Mike and the Mad Dog and WFAN and WIP, but we've evolved beyond just Mike and the Mad Dog and Angelo Cataldi, and you can have this discussion in different forms, and there's more choices. We can also deal in nuance. I bring all that up in the fast lane.
After Ed's potentially unnecessary detour, let's get back on the road in the fast lane.
It is easy to roll your eyes, to laugh, maybe even to chuckle when you hear something like this from Brad Bradley, who has said it before and knows that he is repeating this in reference to the Seminole District as a high school football district in the Commonwealth of Virginia.
This is my 29th year as head coach, 27th in the state of Virginia. And, I say this every year, and y'all get tired of it. You'll keep printing it, but I still think this is one of the best districts in the state of Virginia. And I think not for just wins and loss records from the top team to the bottom of the team or whatever, and we do have really great teams top to bottom, I think, especially in the top 5 right now. But I think it's also, like you said, like Coach Dane Washburn, our defense coordinator, he came from Brookville. He spent 10 years as their defense coordinator. And you got guys, Coach Tinsley, that's the Amherst defense coordinator. He was on my staff back in 2012, 2013. There's just a lot of things going on. I can speak for myself, and I think I can speak for the rest of the guys. Tyler Minks might be the new guy in town, but he's been here as a defense coordinator in the district for a while.
We can roll our eyes at it, but he's not the only one who is saying it. Again, this is not just a Brad Bradley thing. This is a lot of things. So Chris Moore, Amherst Lancers, he's entering his 4th year. He's an Amherst guy, so he's familiar with the Seminole District from before this stint coaching the Lancers. And he's gone on to other places, VMI most recently. That was a stop before coaching Amherst. Why do they have a brutal schedule out of district? Sharando, GW Danville, Salem, all powers in Class 4, all in the region as powers. There's a reason for it.
Really, I want to see great competition, and that's why we scheduled Sharando. To get to the places that we want to go, we got to beat teams like Sharando and GW, and obviously we play JF every year in Glass. And so to make it out of 4D, you got to play great teams and be able to play great football late. And I like seeing that early in the season. And you see it even in the college football playoff, like those teams that come from maybe lighter conferences don't quite, they show up in week 1 or that first round of the playoffs, and what happens? They get embarrassed. And so I want to make sure that when we get to the place that we want to go in the playoffs, we're able to make a run in those playoffs. And so obviously I want to see us play good football. I think I'm glad Sharando has to come down here this year instead of us make the long trip up 81. But it's a great opponent. I have so much respect for Coach Robraw and that whole staff. And, they're in our region this year, which I want to play the best in the region and try to make it out. And so I think it's a good litmus test for us early on to see what we need to get better at. If we get a quality win against them, then that's going to help us out for points in the long term.
It's all designed to set up. You play a tough non-district. The Seminole District is difficult. And the goal is, even if you take some nicks and bruises during the regular season, even if you may knock some points, because if you're, for now, Amherst and Glass in Class 4, and for a while, JF in Class 4, and you're playing Class 3 schools, it may hurt you in the points. You're willing to take that sacrifice, JJ, because you believe that even though you may be losing in the points, you're playing some really stout teams that can prepare you for what you have to face to go through regional play, to get back out of it. And it's all about familiarizing yourself with that over the course of the season. And that's part of why Seminole District coaches all kind of share that same bond of leaning into the tough schedules.
Yeah, iron sharpens iron, Ed. You're always going to be a better team if you go up against opponents who you are simply are better. I mean, you think about it. You think about youth sports, like say there's a really good 12-year-old. They're going to play up in U14. They're going to play up to their competition because the better your competition is, the better that's going to force you to be. You're going to have to work harder, be more focused, and be a better team overall. So I really like this approach of playing a tough non-district schedule to get ready for that also tough district schedule.
You know, Jamar Lovelace of EC Glass kind of reiterated the same thing.
I tell guys all the time, I'm like, who do you want us to play? You know, I have some people sometimes say, like, Coach, you're crazy. You play in the Seminole District, and you're playing Salem, and you're playing PH, and you're playing GW. And I'm always saying, who do you want us to play? I think we're EC Glass, and we're going to attract those type of games. And all the reasons why you wouldn't play those games are not reasons I'm comfortable with. So I'd rather play them. I tell our guys all the time, we beat Salem last year, game 1, so we're not that crazy. We were up in the fourth quarter against PH and against GW, so we're not as crazy as we seem. And we were just a few plays away from being 3-0 going into the Seminole District.
All the reasons why you wouldn't play that are reasons I'm not comfortable with. It's because you're setting the tone for your team, because you add in a tough non-district schedule and you're getting ready for the Seminole. If you can schedule out of district tough, do it. Now, it's easier said than done. LCA, Heritage, and JF in particular have all found challenges. It's why the last couple of years they've gone out of state, and they've got some more of that coming on the horizon, particularly for Heritage and LCA. It's not easy to schedule, but you add that into the Seminole District, it's kind of a universal philosophy and one that builds on and engenders a high level of respect. JT Cruz brought this up as well when we spoke with him at Seminole District Football Media Days. He reiterates it as well when we profiled the JF Cavaliers yesterday in our final Seminole District Spotlight. They are all up.
And guess what? We keep receipts.
For the segments we did at Fastlane Ed Lane, where you listen to podcasts, and Fastlane Ed Lane on our socials to catch the audio clips of the coaches and players from the Seminole District. But JT Cruz, again, reiterating that the whole mindset is, you play in one of the toughest districts, regardless of whether it's 3A, 2A, 4A, whatever your classification is.
Probably not the only Seminole District coach that's come up here and say that the Seminole is one of the top districts in the state of Virginia. The only district in the state of Virginia where every team has won a state championship. And so with that, every team in the district is going to have high expectations for themselves. And so, week in, week out, when you are playing a Seminole District football team, like, it is going to be a battle. And I don't care who it is. Like, you go out there and you sleep on them and you're not ready to play, they're going to go out there and they're going to beat you. And so I think that does a great job of preparing us for the postseason play. Just knowing that week in, week out, you're going to be in a dogfight. You can't sleep. And so when we do get into postseason play, when the importance of the game ratchets it up even higher, we're ready for that. We've played in those big moments. We've been forged in that fire that Seminole District play is. So excited to play in the Seminole, excited to go out there and test ourselves against some really, really good football teams.
It's difficult to win in the district. I mean, I think most people would say there's a top 3 right now of JF, Heritage, and LCA. But I don't think it would shock people if Brookville, Glass, and Amherst all rose up to enter that equation. And Bryson Gordon mentioned he's higher on Liberty than previous years. Not to discount Rustburg because they were 0-10 last year, but they've generally been one of those stable programs in the district. That's probably the other common denominator is, I know Liberty's kind of fallen on more hard times with Rustburg last year, but for the most part, even your down teams in the district are capable of winning 4, 5, 6, 7 games. Insert your 6-7 joke here, but they're capable of winning that amount. So you get to the point where you realize, even on your quote lighter night, end quote, it's still a challenge.
Yeah, I think experience is so important in high school football. Having guys who have been there before lower the stress levels in the big moments. And when you play these tough games, they're going to be close. They're going to go down to the wire, and your guys are going to gain some of that big game experience for when I'm not saying that first half of the season doesn't matter, but once you get to district play, it ramps up another level of intensity. Go ahead, Ed.
It gives you the idea right off the bat, knowing you're playing in the Seminole District and knowing who teams are, where they are, even if you have an idea of a pecking order, you're not sleeping on the others, that keeps you intrinsically motivated, I think, during the offseason, during preseason, and even during the season when it may feel like a grind, that you always have to stay on your A game mentally because the little things, the little edges matter so much in this district.
Yeah, I think that's a great point about the mental game. If you're going to be playing these not as tough teams early in the season, you're not going to have to really be as mentally prepared, as focused for those games. You're going to kind of go in, you're going to win them, presumably, and you're going to stroll out. Then when you play that first district game, it might come as a little bit of a shock. The team's going to be much better, much harder to play. Whereas if you're playing these better teams, you're going to be much more ready for that, much more experienced, as I said, and able to get up for those big district games.
I think you could add in, the Dogwood district, maybe kind of the 2A, 1A version, Class 2, Class 1, those are smaller schools. But I think there's some similarities in the Dogwood at those sizes and the Seminole when you get to kind of the 3 and 4 size schools, Class 3, Class 4, in terms of difficulty relative to other schools of their same classification and size. And that's what makes them very challenging. And I get it. You can make some arguments about some of the districts in Richmond, public and private, being really difficult. And then the 757, some of those schools over there are more 5 and 6A. I know Varina's 4A. They're kind of the boogeyman that we've mentioned, but that's it. But the winning edge, it's the little things that add up that make it so difficult where kind of got that pro feel to it. I know people have said the SEC, and you can laugh about that being a pro league now and previously, but the little edges matter, as Brad Bradley noted.
You go back to Ed over there, covers Jefferson Forest a lot of times. Man, our game this year, it went to inches, right? LCA game at the end of the year went to inches, overtime. And that's what the Seminole District's all about. Sometimes the breaks go your way. Sometimes they don't. As a coach, you're just trying to find a way to get an advantage, just a little teeny advantage, and they're all working their butts off. And there's a lot of respect, I think, that goes along the district with that.
I think there's a lot of truth to that. There is a lot of respect. And that's part of why we brought this up of coaches. I mean, look, there's a level of competitiveness, even at the high school level. There's a level of, comical in the sense of, plenty of players have been known to transfer from one school to the other within the district. I've seen it in multiple ways, even at the same school. They'll bring players in and lose players. It does happen in the Seminole District, maybe not to the degree in places like Richmond or the Tidewater or the Washington, D.C. area, but it happens. Let's call a spade a spade. But there's also a level of respect because kind of everybody's kind of in the same boat. Everybody's doing it at a level of competitiveness, and they know how difficult it is. Scott Jennings actually is a fascinating example because he's been at the Seminole District for quite a while at different junctures and stops. And even though he knows how competitive it is and knows the fight that Liberty's got on their hands to try to get back to where they expect it to be for the Minutemen over in Bedford, that even with that, he knows the district to him feels like home because of that.
It's just a carousel. I coach with Coach Cruz, and we were talking about LCA and Lucas Pribble's the new DC there. He was a Liberty guy at one point. And it's everybody's connected, and it is really cool. There's a lot of history. I love the Seminole District, and this is year 23 for me in this district. So I don't know that there's another coach out there that's besides maybe Chris Watts that's been in the district, as long as I have. So it's really cool. It's really cool to see, and to me, it's home. That the whole district's home for me.
Are you familiar with the name John Chavis by chance?
I'm not actually, no.
So he has been this defensive coordinator at Tennessee, LSU, and other stops. And he was kind of the punchline because he was known as never good enough to be a head coach, but he was the type of defensive coordinator and defensive assistant that just kept bouncing around within the SEC. Like, he's always there at different schools. It could be in the West, it could be in the East, it could be LSU, it could be Tennessee, it could be some other school, but he always seemed to pop up. Kind of get the feeling there's a lot of that in the Seminole District as well. JT Cruz at JF is a Brookville guy, but has been at those places. Jeff Woody was at Brookville, then he's at Glass. Scott Jennings mentioned where all he has been. There are a lot of coaches that are in that spot, but ultimately it all boils down to the fact that you're looking to further yourself as best you can. You want to pour into your kids. You know how difficult it is, and you gain as much wisdom along the way. And I think all that ties into the point where we'll wrap up on this from Brad Bradley, which is there's just, at the end of the day, it's cliche, but justifiable to be a lot of respect amongst and within the Seminole District.
There's a lot of respect, not only among the head coaches, but for the staffs of the Seminole District. Does that make sense? Because we all have to work our butts off to play. And what's special about this game, man, you go out and play basketball and you get 22 games. You get 3 in a week. You get some snow, you might get 4 in a week. And you don't get that here. These guys, you think about it, you break it down, and you really start to see what football players do, and they work from January through the month of August to literally get guaranteed only 10 48-minute football games. That's it. And plus some scrimmages. That's it. That's 480 minutes. That's it. Right? That's it. After that, they're done. So these guys work extremely hard. And in the Seminole, you work extremely hard as a coach just to figure out that little bit of edge that might get you a chance to play.
All that boils back to it. Now, I think that's really the root of it. Competitiveness, yes. Fans that can go at each other and not like other fan bases, absolutely the case there. Even programs that have issues with each other, sure. But it's all rooted in that one element of, I think they're all similar in terms of competitiveness. They all care. They're all good. They're all pouring a lot of effort in. It leads to a fun and entertaining product for us to cover and for us to broadcast with Jefferson Forest Cavalier Football presented by TrostLaw.com, which features them and the other teams in the Seminole District. But it all kind of ties back into that. And I think basketball is actually getting to that point as well in the district. You could argue other sports, but I think football kind of has led the way in terms of the idea of how close and competitive and fiery it also is.
Yeah, I love this dynamic we're hearing between all the coaches. You can just tell the level of respect is sky high. And one thing I'm really hearing is the attention to detail. And I think that really does stem from respect. I know you're a big fan of attention to detail, but these guys want to be as good as they can possibly be, get every little minute thing as good as it could be. And that's all because they respect the other teams. They respect the other coaches. They know they're going to be working just as hard on all the little things as them. And they all want to win the district. Let's be real.
Yeah, they absolutely do. Meanwhile, we want to win with more insight and analysis, which is why we will pivot to...
It's time for Fast Five at Five-ish. 5-ish minutes on 5 relevant topics done around 5 p.m.-ish. Ish, because our counting skills are kind of ish. Let's start with number 5.
All right. This is going to sound disrespectful. They do a professional job, but you have to take it in context. Shams Charania, big partner of the NBA, ESPN. Ian Rappaport and Adam Schefter. NFL Network and ESPN now are basically operating as one. They basically have controlling stakes in each other. Pete Thamel for college football and basketball. When they break certain stories, oftentimes it's twofold. They're tied into the agent community and they are tied into the league, and they will get those scoops regularly, even if other people know what's going on. But there is an element of, again, they're professional, they're respectful, they all kind of have a rigid approach. They're afraid to ruffle the boat of who's feeding the information. This one's comical, though. Notre Dame transfer defensive end Junior Tuihalamaka. Have you seen this?
I have not.
He is transferred, gotten a year of eligibility, and is committed to, here's the shocker of all of them, who might be the one that loves players that are questionably eligible because they care nothing about questionable behavior.
Miami is the first team that comes to mind.
Close. LSU.
Oh.
This all according to the agents. Full tweet from Pete Thamel. Notre Dame transfer junior defensive end Junior Tuihalamaka has committed to LSU. Here's the best part. Per his agent, Noah Rosenfeld of 21 Sports and Entertainment. I wonder who gave the information to Pete Thamel. Again, I respect the fact that he works for a partner, so he's going to get it on the administrative side. They understand, the agents do, of the power and reach of that particular brand. But let's also not kid ourselves that the people in this particular position, as much as they are newsbreakers, I think Shams has kind of played that role from Woj as well, which is whoever's in that role is going to get a lot of the scoops because not necessarily just because they're good and trustworthy, but also because they work for a platform that has a wide distribution. Again, we're an ESPN radio affiliate. Let's be full disclosure here. And also because in a lot of cases, they are affiliates, the NFL, the college football playoff and college football, as well as the NBA. Just understand how this works as well.
Yeah, of course. I mean, the agent tie-in, I think, is really interesting. We're getting to a point where I feel like half of these breaking news notifications we get, especially from Shams, is mostly about the agent, and you have to go digging through the tweet for the player. There was a trade where Peyton Watson the other day, he got traded to the Cleveland Cavaliers. They put an image of Peyton Watson with the tweet about it. If it wasn't there, you would have no idea who they're talking about because the first thing they got out was the agent's name and their affiliation. So I'm not a fan of that, but I completely understand why they have to do it.
Yes, completely. Indeed. Meanwhile,
number 4.
I know we also saw the story earlier today about a legal victory for the NCAA. I call this temporary. A federal appeals court has temporarily halted the court order that would have granted thousands of athletes who left college an extra year of eligibility. Why would you transfer to LSU if you're Junior Tuihalamaka? Let's look at areas in the country where you might get favorable rulings from judges. Places like Mississippi, Trinidad Chambliss. Places like Texas, Texas Tech, Brennan Sorsby. Places like Louisiana, anything, go Tigers, LSU. All come to mind. I think there might be a reason why this is all tied together, JJ.
Yeah, really just a situation as a whole is tough to deal with. I'm kind of surprised it got halted, honestly, but how many guys are getting eligibility re-granted to them. So interested to see where this story unfolds next.
There are still more twists and turns to go. Speaking of players in college sports and Pete Thamel breaking news.
Number 3.
He broke this one yesterday, but ODU naming Quinn Henicle their starting quarterback against Norfolk State on September 5th. They should win that game without a problem. He's 2-0 in starting 2 games over the last 2 years. Cure Bowl win over USF last year. That was without their head coach, Alex Golesh, who had left to replace Brian Harson's replacement, Hugh Freeze, at Auburn. And they beat Arkansas State in 2024. There's not a lot of body of work there. This is more of a trust Ricky Ronnie, who I think by and large has done a good enough job at ODU that you would trust him. But I think like a lot of programs, you're going with a lot of unproven talent, and maybe the soft schedule launch of Norfolk State makes it a little bit easier to get him acclimated than what JMU and Liberty will have going up against each other in a much more challenging spot for those two programs when they name their QB1s over the next week and change.
Yeah, I like it. Get him a few easy games to get in the rhythm, get the flow of the offense going. And you said he was on ODU last year, Ed. Is that correct?
Yes.
So I like the fact that they're starting a returning quarterback here, someone who at least has some sort of familiarity with the system and the offense and the school as a whole. So a little more experience, maybe it'll calm the team down as a whole.
Yeah, and he's been there the last couple of years. So if nothing else, there's program familiarity with Henicle and ODU. Meanwhile,
Number 2.
A little bit of breaking news that's come in the U.S. Open over the last couple of days. Carlos Alcaraz will play despite a wrist injury. Jannik Sinner will not play because of a right knee issue. I think this field's as wide open as ever. I was honestly, I'm a little shocked that Sinner did not play. I thought this was more just maintenance and being diplomatic about missing the lead-up tournaments. I kind of wonder where his mind has been and his focus has been, considering how he really didn't do much in the lead-up to Wimbledon, won it, and hasn't done anything at all since then. Carlos, if he's healthy, he should be the favorite. I think he's the most exciting and athletically gifted player that tennis has to offer. But the wrist injury is not something to be messed with, and we're at a spot now where if that's the case, this thing is wide open, whether it's Djokovic, Ben Shelton, maybe Taylor Fritz breaks through, maybe Zverev gets another one, maybe former UVA star Rafael Hodar, who has been on a rapid ascent this year. I don't know if he's quite ready to go to this level to win one, but nothing would surprise me at this point on the men's side of tennis.
Yeah, I think I saw a report that Alcaraz, is he reportedly looking to have a doubles partner as well? I saw there was reports of a high-profile doubles partner. Do we have any reports on who that is yet?
I have heard nuggets, but I don't know who that officially is going to be.
Okay, well, I'm really curious to see how that story develops, but, I mean, let's see how he does in the singles as well.
I think he'll do it, if nothing else, the mixed doubles, because there's just prep matches for a guy who hasn't played much either over the last couple of months. He missed Roland Garros and Wimbledon because of his injury. Meanwhile,
Number 1.
2 NASCAR nuggets. 1, 2 p.m. Now the start time for the Cup race on Sunday. I love this anticipation by NASCAR. Starting the race at 2 p.m. as opposed to 3:30 p.m., knowing that New Hampshire does not have lights and that you've got advanced weather notice. This is something NASCAR used to not do. They messed it up a little bit this year, like the Atlanta race that went to 1:30 in the morning when they could have made a decision sooner. But for the most part, they've done the right thing when it comes to weather. This is another example of that. Meanwhile, Jordan Bianchi, the Athletic, reports that NASCAR is not going to get things worked out with the city of Chicago for a street race, so they will go back to Chicagoland next year. From a NASCAR exposure standpoint, bad. Street race in Chicago gets more. From an entertainment value, good, because Chicagoland, way more exciting than the Chicago street course if you're just looking for raw quality of racing action. Meanwhile, if you're looking for raw quality of good analysis on the Seminole District, Bob Alvis has plenty of that, and he'll chime in next in the Fast Lane.
Lunchtime just got an upgrade. Stop by Makadu for our $8.95 weekday special and grab a legendary sandwich at an unbeatable price. Choose from your favorite classics, the Coney Island, Betty Bop, Ragtime, or Stogie. Classic sandwiches packed with savory meats and flavors in between fresh bread. Make it a meal by pairing your sandwich with a sidekick, a warm cup of soup, or crispy chips. Great food, cozy vibes, and the best deal in town.
It's time to share great food and fun. Just to be there, the only one. Just to be there at Market Dues.
We'll see you at the dues.
Edge of your seat drama, the thrilling pursuit of victories and championships. From the premier NASCAR series to local racing, visit frontstretch.com for your true inside access. We don't just report the news, we live it. From insightful articles and captivating podcast commentary, frontstretch.com opens the gates to the NASCAR pits, track, and corporate suite, so you can get closer to the garage than ever before. Frontstretch.com, fast, fearless, focused on racing fans.
When you walk into Haley's, you see the size and selection of a big box store. Over 19,000 square feet of appliances and mattresses. Leading appliances like KitchenAid, Whirlpool, Maytag, Genair, Speed Queen, GE, and Monogram. And mattresses like Sealy, Serta, and Tempur-Pedic. So what's the difference? A family, locally owned business. And a staff committed to servicing you over the entire life of the product. That means before, during, and well after your purchase. Visit Haley's today, just off Ward Road in Lynchburg. Haley's, quality that counts.
The number 3, one of the most important and powerful numbers on so many levels. And for your wallet, it's powerful at InStateRadioDeals.com. Enter the promo code FIRE at checkout for 33.3% off the list price of select items. Liberty Flames individual game tickets, Liberty Flames season tickets for the upcoming football season, and Hill City Howlers skyboxes and general admission with a $10 food voucher. All through the end of August. 33.3% off the list price of those items when you enter the promo code FIRE at checkout.
Hey gang, this is Bud Foster, former defensive coordinator for the Virginia Tech Hokies. Join me for Foster and Friends, Saturday 9 to 10 a.m. on BTRN Sports 93.3 FM.
Come join the chat or give us a piece of your mind. JJ Hendrickson 27 and Fastlane Ed Lane on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Is he on board, or is he just a hater who believes it's coach speak? That's the question we posed to Bob Alvis of the Sports Buffet podcast, who is with us here in the Fast Lane. Bob, great to be speaking with you. Always a pleasure to catch up. I hope and pray that you and yours are well and that you're excited for the start of high school football meaningful action. We are 1 week away from that as we speak right now. Seminole District. There's a bond between coaches. There's a high level of competitiveness. And there's probably a level of intertwinedness in the sense of how difficult they believe it is to win the district. Is this coach speak, or is this something you buy into because you've seen this district and compared it to others in the Commonwealth of Virginia?
I'm always a hater, first off. So I have a big glass of Haterade next to me. But no, I don't think it's coach speak, because a lot of people will tell you that the Seminole District is the toughest district in the state. All the teams have won a state title at some point. No other district can claim that. Everything is coach speak to a degree, but I think there's a pecking order. But I do think that people are honest when they say you've got to bring it every night in the Seminole.
Why do you believe that's the case? Is it the fact that it's top to bottom, as deep as it is?
Why do you believe it's the case? You've done Seminole games too.
I have done Seminole games. I would say top to bottom, generally speaking, even the team, like I'll look at this year. Most people would have, in some different order, LCA, Heritage, and JF in the top 3. Then there's that group of 4 potential challengers to crack that: Brookville, Amherst, EC Glass, and spacing on the other one. Brookville, Amherst, and EC Glass, who are in that group of challengers. Then Rustburg and Liberty out the bottom.
Yeah, I think that's
but even the bottom programs historically have by and large been pretty good, and there's a level of commitment and passion from the fans to try to keep themselves there or get back to there.
So to answer the question, I ping-ponged over to you. I would say that every game in the Seminole is going to be a tougher game than you'll see in the playoffs, because it's getting you ready for the playoffs. Because so many times in my life, I've seen the Seminole scrimmage play a Valley team in the playoffs, and the Valley team is like, boy, we haven't seen that type of speed. Now, Seminole's not undefeated for life. I'm not saying that. But the Seminole often, it seems like they are not freaked out by speed of somebody else, because they've already seen speed, whether it's by the top team or the 7th team.
I would agree with that. I would also say this. I think Jefferson Forest, and we cover their game, so that's just the example I'm using. But they look like they have been prepared for the playoffs in prior years because they've been in the Seminole District and they've not been wowed, whether it's even with trips. Sharando, they could have won that if they didn't have 5 turnovers. They managed to overcome John Hamley last year. They were not wowed by the speed of GW last year because they'd seen plenty of it already. And I would imagine that other schools would say the same thing about what they face when they start getting deep into district play.
Yeah, it was very nice of you and Rick Kennedy to come pick me up from the senior home last year to take me up to Hanley for that one-day release. It was great.
Right? I'm surprised you weren't scarred for life having to be in a car with me that long.
Well, you fed me and everything, and I think I even smashed somebody's car at Buc-ee's. So that was a top hit for everybody. I think JF is very, very good. They're going to have the issue of, you can't replace Stax Rowland. You can't replace Slade Kazee. You can't replace Pearson Brooks, but you've got to fill them the best you can. I mean, I wish Pearson the best. I wish Slade the best. I wish Stax the best, but we can't have a mourning period. And don't forget guys like Spencer Sloan as well and things like that. I think it's a 3-horse race, but everybody will tell you they need to see other horses be bad, so to speak, or weaker, as opposed to that's how they're going to win football games.
So I would say there's some merit to that for sure in terms of needing to see where other teams are, getting that over the course of the Seminole District. We're talking with Bob Alvis of the Sports with A podcast about that here in the Fast Lane. Bob, we've gone through about half of the Seminole District spotlights with you. We've missed on half of them. We'll start from the bottom in honor of Bryson Gordon's guy, Drake. Shout out to BG of newsadvance.com, who's a big Drake fan. Starting from the bottom, that would be Liberty in the standings. My general assessment is that Liberty may not get everything rectified in the win-loss column this year, but Scott Jennings has been around the district long enough, back to that whole theme, understands what it takes, and his approach has been more holistic of building a foundation like this year. They got the community out to do a lot of paint projects, a lot of touch-ups around the stadium, restoring pride. How much is that true that, that can help? It may not help immediately, but it's laying the foundation to try to have that long-term support, which they really need.
Can you win football games if you don't have pride in the program? I would say no. Obviously, you do need to have some skills on Friday nights as well. They've got that with Nas Johnson. I think Evan Lee could be really, really good at football, as amongst other sports. I think Liberty's going to be okay. Scott Jennings coached under Chris Watts. Chris Watts is now at Rustburg, and John Meeks, who coached at Brookville, is now at Amherst under Chris Moore. So just in case you wanted to bring the web together, there you go.
I like that. I like the fact that you're interweaving the spider web, as Bob Alvis happens to be doing for us today from the Sports with A podcast here in the Fast Lane. Bob, we've touched on Liberty. We'll look at the others. EC Glass. I love the fact that they don't have, I don't love the fact that they don't have turf at their stadium, and they're still trying to figure that part out for practices for all the fall sports, football being the most noteworthy of that. But I love the fact that football has approached this as, all right, we'll bust the city stadium regularly. We're going to try to find any avenue to overcome this adversity that we can. How much do you like the fact that Jamar Lovelace seems to be handling a challenging situation in what seems to be the correct way?
I like it, but a challenging situation really is Salem, Patrick Henry, GW Danville, and Heritage right off the bat. That's 4 heavy hitters right off the bat. And EC Glass could go 4-0. They could go 2-2. They could go 0-4. So, I think the more you win, you keep kids interested. And you've got winners coming over. Kai Calloway, who was on the lacrosse team, he's a football player. Jamarius Harris, basketball, football player. Cohen Brim, baseball player, football player. So I think you've got people that know how to win, but can they win on Friday nights? And that's going to be, like I said, the first 4, I think, are big steps, because then you have Liberty and then you have the bye. So hypothetically, worst comes to worst, you're sitting 0-5 at the bye, and then you got 5 left. How interested are kids going to be? What if you're below 500? Are you still interested? I don't know.
We shift from the EC Glass Hilltoppers to the Heritage Pioneers in the Seminole District. They seem to be really young, but at a lot of the key positions. Is that scary for them, or is that scary for everybody else? Because that seems like they've got a lot of young, explosive athleticism.
I'm not trying to play Heritage Homer here, but I really feel like people are kind of forgetting about Heritage a little bit. I can tell you who's not forgetting about Heritage: Tyler Meeks, JT Cruz, and I could go on and on. But I think the general public is forgetting about Heritage, and they're saying it's going to be LCA and JF. Heritage had a scrimmage last night, did not win. They're going to lean on that defense, and that defense is going to be really, really good. They've got AJ Coles, who came over from EC Glass. Daryl Alexander is probably going to be your signal caller. Flash Fleshman is one of the quickest people in the district. So I think Heritage is just going to have to get the reps and probably the decision-making down. And then I think that could be a scary team. Keep in mind, they play LCA and JF back-to-back, but it's not till game 9 and game 10.
That's the big thing that I look at. We covered Jefferson Forest Cavalier football presented by TroSlaw.com on 100.9 in the Virginia's Talk Station app. And by that point in the year, you'd expect a lot of these freshmen are freshmen in title, but have had a lot of experience, and we know they'll be coached hard and learn under Brad Bradley. We will look at Jefferson Forest right now. Is their biggest challenge, and they seem to be tackling it head on, but is their biggest challenge the expectations are higher than they've ever been coming off of last year's state semifinal appearance?
I think they'll be okay with that. I mean, I think the expectations are there, but let me ask you a question. Who do you think remembered the JF Verina game more last year, JF or Verina?
Probably JF.
I think that's an advantage because that had to be a sick feeling for a lot of people because not only were they not really in the game, but it ended careers and it ended seasons. And I mean, the people that came back, they can feel like they failed because they let their seniors down. That's where I think people are coming from. I don't think that's accurate in the way to think, but that I can't control the way somebody else thinks. I think JF's going to be a really, really good football team, but gosh, this is so cliche. One game at a time. You've got to win the games you're supposed to win and not worry about the games that you're not supposed to win, or not worry about those games. Don't worry about game 7 when you got game 1. And keep in mind this too. JF is going to get a lot of power points, even if they didn't win a game against, say, maybe a Gretna or say maybe a LCA or say maybe a Heritage, because I think those teams are going to be good enough to where the power points are still going to help out JF. So I think JF is probably playing one of the better schedules out of district. And in district, everybody's going to get points because everybody's going to beat up on each other, but there are going to be a couple teams that are going to separate themselves from the rest. So I think everybody's going to get points in the Seminole, but you can play those 3 to 4 non-district games and not have it be against 0-10, 0-10, 0-10. I think that's a big help.
Bob, we'll wrap it up on this one. You and many of us are familiar with Frank Rocco. He's being honored tonight for LCA at their final preseason scrimmage of the year. To me, that seems so fitting for Frank Rocco that it's happening now where it's not taking away from the big games that start in the regular season. I mean, that to me says as much as anything about Rocco and his relationship with LCA. He'll accept it, but he doesn't want to be a distraction.
I agree. And, I think, too, that Frank Rocco retired. And I think you maybe asked the question at Media Day. It gave Tyler Meeks enough time to transition. But if you closed your eyes at Media Day and you just listened, you'd hear Frank Rocco in Tyler Meeks, in Payne, in Aronson, and in Gaither. So I think Frank Rocco has definitely not only left his stamp on the area, but left his stamp on LCA. And that man is going to be admired and adored for many, many, many years.
Meanwhile, we admire and adore Bob Alvis. That was just too easy. You teed it up for that level of praise to wrap up our chat today in the Fast Lane. Bob, thank you for making time for us. We are grateful for you and look forward to speaking again.
Hey, let me leave you with a great quote. Everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth.
Mike Tyson. I love it. We're wrapping up quoting the great philosopher Mike Tyson here in the Fast Lane. Bob, we appreciate it. We'll chat again soon.
Take care, man.
Bob Alvis with us here in the Fast Lane. When we return, Faith Friday presented by Impact Church Forest, featuring how do you keep your son grounded in the modern landscape of college athletics? Gosh, I'm excited to get the answer to that question with a guy that actually used to call high school football games with me once upon a time when I was in the South Side. Curtis Hairston, dad of Virginia Tech Hokies tight end Jarikas Hairston, slated to join us next in the Fast Lane.
Mark Dalton here with the Terry Auto Group. If you don't love your car, then you're simply just driving the wrong one. At Terry Volkswagen, Terry Subaru, Terry Auto Outlet, and the Terry Clearance Center, we've got the perfect new or used car for you. We make your car buying experience easy. Need help with imperfect credit? No problem. Our team works hard to get you approved and back on the road. Because when you shop at Terry, you drive away happy. Visit us at any of our 4 locations or online at terryautogroup.com. Terry Auto Group. You'll love our cars.
You walk into a repair shop, hear the price of their estimate, realize they'll take an eternity to get to you, and go, uh-oh, better get Mako. At Mako of Lynchburg, they're certified to do repairs on any type of car and for any insurance company because they ultimately answer to you. They'll process through insurance companies or help you pay out of pocket. They don't get better prices to insurance companies than they would for you because at Mako, it's all about being honest with you. So if your car needs collision repair or paint, go, uh-oh, better get Mako on Kemper Street in Lynchburg.
Your all-access preseason pass to the Flames is here. Inside Liberty Football, meet the team. Saturday, August 22nd at Williams Stadium, indoor practice field in Lynchburg. Gates open at 1 o'clock. Tour the stadium and the Flames locker room. Hear from head coach Jamie Chadwell and athletics director Ian McCall. Games for kids versus players, autographs, see the marching band, cheer and dance teams, plus food trucks. Admission is free. August 22nd, 1 p.m. Get inside Liberty Football.
Your home team advantage is right here at the News in Advance, Lynchburg's premier destination for local sports coverage. From Friday night lights and high school championship runs to the plays and playmakers at our local colleges, we bring you closer to the action. Get expert analysis, scores, player spotlights, and exclusive coverage tailored for Central Virginia sports fans. Don't miss a single story. Subscribe and read at newsadvance.com.
Come join the chat or give us a piece of your mind. JJ Hendrickson 27 and Fastlane Ed Lane on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
I've been dying to ask this question, and I can't contain myself, so this is how we're going to start our chat on our Impact Church Forest Faith Friday. With Curtis Hairston, he is the dad of Virginia Tech Hokies tight end Jarekus Hairston. And we'll get to some backstory in just a moment here in the Fast Lane. But Curtis, first of all, welcome back into the Fast Lane. We enjoy catching up with you as we get the opportunity to do so. I hope and pray that you and your entire family are as healthy and well as you could expect them to be. First of all, thank you for your time today in the Fast Lane. And second of all, I do not say this lightly, but how are you and everybody doing right now?
Hey, thank you first and foremost, Ed, for all you do. We are doing very well, blessed and highly favored, and just living.
That's half of it. Living the right way. This is a unique era of college athletics, and it's been a unique last year since we spoke for Curtis Hairston and everybody with Virginia Tech, given the coaching change from Brent Pride as head coach. He's now the defensive coordinator. James Franklin has taken over as the head coach. What steps have you and your family taken during this time to keep Jarekus grounded in his Christian faith, to guide him during this journey, and to just impart wisdom as he also makes a lot of mature and independent decisions?
Well, first step and most important step, Ed, is continuously praying. That's what we were built on. That's before things even got started. That's how we knew we were going to get to where we wanted to be. Simply praying, putting it all in God's hands, and letting the cards or chips, however you want to say it, fall where they may.
You referenced the prayer part to that. You know, people handle it differently. We've prayed as families together. We've prayed individually. It's not just over meals and in church. It's in other occasions. How do you incorporate prayer in your life and lead as a dad for your son, Jarekus, but also for your entire family?
Just everything we do is led by prayer. It truly is. We put everything in the hands of the Lord, and we just trust in him so much that it's easy for us to go about our normal activities doing what we do. And
it's amazing to see the journey that you guys have had from a football standpoint. You know, for you personally, a lot of it starts in the family. You know, the parents can set the tone for the rest of the family with that. Has your Christian faith always been a part of your life, or was it something that you relied on more as you became a dad, as you became a husband, as you became a dad, and as you and your family grew?
Oh yes, sir. You know, we were born into faith. I mean, I think we're all, as Christians, are born into it, and we grow to learn and go our separate ways with it and get out of it what we want to get out of it. Me personally, like I say, I've always had great faith, and I've always knew the Lord, and I've always known the goodness of the Lord. But it took my oldest daughter being born with
technical issue with Curtis Hairston. We'll get him back on just a moment here in the Fast Lane. He's the dad of Virginia Tech Hokies tight end Jarekus Hairston. Again, you can mark this down that this is going to happen on our Impact Church Faith Fridays in the Fast Lane. I think we're doing an awesome segment. But when you're doing an awesome segment, that's when the enemy comes at you. And we have had this happen routinely on this segment in a way that does not happen on any of the other segments that we do. A level of technical difficulties that we are always aiming to navigate. It is just, I won't call it comical, but it is just part of the process. So that is what we are working through right now with Curtis Hairston. I've known him, again, he and I go way back. He was my color analyst for high school football back when I was in the South Side area. I had another friend of ours, mine as well. His name is Shane, and he's a fan of ours and a commenter of ours. But you build the faith through those type of moments and work through them together. And you keep working through that. And, like this segment, for example, is something that I brought up today. I bring up regularly. I am not a billboard that either you are a Christian or even more so, you become a Christian, or you're one, but you lean into your faith and life is just going to magically get easier and your problems disappear. I think the opposite happens. I think you get more of it. More of that stuff happens. We don't have these technical issues that pop up during normal segments in the fast lane, but we have them on Faith Friday presented by Impact Church Forest. I think because we're doing what God is calling us to do. And when this type of stuff happens, you can rest assured that you're going to get the unique challenges that don't pop up at any other time, that pop up just during a scenario like this. So we've had a good chat going with Curtis Hairston, who is the dad of Virginia Tech Hokies tight end Jarikus Hairston. We are efforting to try to get him back on into the fast lane. And what does that say, by the way? JJ, just talk on the microphone. I really don't care in this instance.
We got caller unavailable for the moment. I'm going to try him one more time, though.
Okay, we're going to try to get him back on. If not, we'll do it again next week. But I'm firmly of the belief this happens. Like, if two things. If you have been let down by Christianity because people told you that you become a Christian and they painted this rosy, everything gets good, your problems disappear picture, it's not just you, it's them. It may be you for rethinking your Christian faith, but it's definitely them for falsely selling you on what Christianity is. That's not what it is. I am a firm believer in that. Are you familiar with Kara Lawson, by the way, JJ? I'll use this as an example. It's more a secular example, but I'll use it.
I'm not, no, Ed.
She's Duke women's basketball coach.
Okay.
Go to YouTube. Do harder, better. She has that speech, and she doesn't bring it up to her team in the religious context. Okay, let's be clear about that. She does not bring that up in the religious context. But I think there is a level of applicability that applies to that. I think that's true. And that's part of what you go through in your faith, is realizing that it doesn't make the problem disappear. It just means that you do it better. You practice better. You work through your challenges better. You figure out a way to go through all these challenges. Because that is my biggest gripe. And this is not with Christianity as a faith, because I'm a Christian man. My biggest gripe is with the presentation of Christianity. Now, I don't think we do it at my church, St. John's Episcopal Church in Lynchburg. I can certainly say they don't do it at Impact Church. They preach the gospel unapologetically, and they're not ashamed of that. Route 811 or Thomas Jefferson Road in Forest. But there are pastors and churches and people out there where they cast that vision. I think it's the most detrimental thing in Christianity. I think it's the most detrimental thing to people, because you're creating this idea of, you become a Christian, your problems vanish and disappear. I've talked to most people of faith, at least who are mature in their faith. They agree. That is not the case. You can weigh in, by the way. Please, Fastlane, Ed Lane, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We will effort to get Curtis Hairston on. But we were confirmed, set up, everything was good when we spoke earlier this afternoon. And we've talked multiple times about this. So I, again, can confirm that this is not something that is happening normally in segments in the fast lane. This is happening only in particular segments when you're working through these type of challenges, and that's the goal. Because it goes back to what Kara Lawson has mentioned, but not the only one, and that's the idea of handle harder, better.
We wait for stuff to get easier. It will never get easier. What happens is you handle hard better. That's what happens. Most people think that it's going to get easier. Life is going to get easier. Basketball's going to get easier. School's going to get easier. It never gets easier. What happens is you become someone that handles hard stuff better.
Essentially, that's what it is. Like, I'll sell it my way with a Christian Faith. We've had these segments. This is the only segment we have traditionally in the fast lane where there are continual technical challenges. I don't think that's accidental. I think it's absolutely intentional, 100%. We're going to keep doing it. We're not going to back down from it. We're scheduled next week to chat with former Appomattox Raiders head coach, legendary head coach, Doug Smith on our Faith Fridays. We'll have some of these with coach and pastor Rick Kennedy, who's color analyst for Jefferson Forest Cavalier football, presented by TrostLaw.com, and he is one of the pastors, along with Pastor Tim Witt and Pastor Brad Bell at Impact Church Forest. But this is what it is. Like, it helps me. I'd like to think I've handled it better. I don't fly off the coop as much. You're the beneficiary of this, JJ, because Trey, Ty, and TJ have all seen the other side of it, where you've seen it a couple times, but they saw even more because my Christian faith has gotten better, so I've gotten better at handling these type of scenarios. My wife is probably so close to the sun, it's hard for her to see that because she's probably got the scar tissue of having been around the other stuff. But essentially, that's what it is. I'm a firm believer for me. This is just me talking about my Christian faith. You're free to believe what you want. I don't pretend that for other people. But I liken it to that Carol Lawson, handle hard better. Because you have to learn to make yourself handle things like hard work.
Make yourself someone that handles hard well. And then whatever comes at you, you're going to be great. You're going to be great.
That's part of what it is. Now, people have their different ways to it. I think you can handle it through means beyond religion and beyond Christian faith. But I think those other means can be a great supplement to it. For me, my Christian faith is the base and the foundation for it, but there are other things that are a supplement of reminding you of that. Because essentially all this is doing, everything, including stuff like this, is preparing you for life away from it.
The second we see you handling stuff, handling hard better, what are we going to do? We're going to make it harder. We're going to make it harder. Because we're preparing for you for when you leave here. Not just basketball and life.
Preparing you for life. Look, that's what it is. I think for me, that's, again, my Christianity and my religion. And I encourage people to get involved, however you feel compelled to do. And again, it's a free country. You can believe what you want. I'm not going to back down from my Christian faith, but I'm not one to judge people anything else. It's not my place. That's what God's here for. I don't believe in the, I tell people you're going to heaven, you're going to hell. I don't make that call. That's the beauty of my Christianity. I don't have to make that decision. That burden ain't mine. But I think that's it. And it goes down to one of the things too, which is, again, I think it's worth having Christian faith, but it's not going to be easy. You're going to be tested. Anything meaningful, whether it's that or just life in general, is going to be hard. We've touched the entire last couple of weeks, JJ, about Seminole District high school football teams. Most of the coaches all acknowledge it's hard to win in the Seminole District. They're challenging themselves now. They're challenging themselves with their non-district schedule. Because for me, I'm talking Christian faith, but I think you can expand it in the sports sense because that's what we cover here in the fast lane. A lot of what you do in practice and preparation is designed so that when you encounter hard in a game, because you will in sports, you're getting hard circumstances. You're at least more prepared than before. And then you get them in a game, and I understand the pressure and intensity are different, and it goes up in the regular season. And it goes up more in the postseason, the deeper you go. But it's creating those stress points because it helps you in the moment. But if you're doing it the right way as a coach in any sport, you're also aware that you're molding young men and young women to then take those same lessons and apply them to the rest of their life. And that's where all this stuff ties together.
Yeah, I would say no one actually likes going through adversity. But I mean, when you think about it, the more you go through adversity, the better you're going to become at going through that. You're going to learn the coping skills, everything you need to go through that adversity. So that's what these coaches are doing with these practices and experiences. They're trying to have their guys go through as much adversity as possible before the season. So when they run into it during it, they'll know how to deal with it.
Anything meaningful is hard.
If you have a meaningful pursuit in life, it will never be easy. If you're trying to win a championship, if you're trying to have a family, ask your parents. Do you think it was ever easy for them to raise kids?
Nope.
Karen, is it easy? It's not. Any meaningful pursuit in life, if you want to be successful at it, it goes to the people that handle hard well. Those are the people that get the stuff they want.
And I'm not even perfect at it. I don't think I'll ever be perfect at it. I'd like to think I'm better at it. I'd like to think my Christian faith has helped me be better at it, but it's not perfect. I mean, again, you work through it. That's for me part of it. And again, You're free to do what you want. I understand we have freedoms in this world. Again, I don't make those judgments, but it's a basis on which to do it. We'll get back at it next week in the Fast Lane. Thanks for listening to the Fast Lane on VTRN Sports, 93.3 FM, W227 BG Timberlake, and 1320 AM, WVGM Lynchburg.